It's spooky season, so let's double down. Here are my suggestions for the 10 scariest villains in the books of Stephen King. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. I also talk to you about horror movies, and I have a book club where I recommend great horror books to you that aren't written by Stephen King, but this video is a Stephen King one, and in particular it's this month's book special. So if you are a regular around here, you'll know that at the moment I'm going through the movies and adaptations of Stephen King's works, giving you 19 reasons to read each one. But once a month I go back to the books and give you a book special, and that's what this video is. And I'm talking scary villains. We're approaching Halloween, it's spooky season, so it felt right to dig into Stephen King's works and pick out my choices for the 10 scariest villains. That's what I'm going to do. It's not a ranking, I'm just going to go through, spoiler free as possible, in order of publication of the books, and pick out the villains, both human villains and supernatural villains that I think are the scariest and that got under my skin the most. But I'd love to hear yours as well, so let me know in the comments who you think the scariest Stephen King villain is, and the one that would keep you up during spooky season. And hey, while we're having suggestions as well, who would you dress up as for Halloween? Which Stephen King villain? Probably Pennywise for me, but hey, I'd love to hear what you think as well. So let's get on with it. Here are my top 10 scariest villains in the books of Stephen King. So we're going to kick off with Salem's Lot and Kurt Barlow, the master vampire. Had to be here, right? A classic monster, a classic villain. And King does him brilliantly because he keeps him in the shadows for so much of the book. You see all of these chess pieces being put into place before he finally reveals himself, and we see exactly what he's about. And he is terrifying. And yes, it's difficult not to picture the versions from the movie, well, particularly the original TV series movie if you've watched that, but the book version is haunting and chilling and just a great vampire. And he's a great way to kick off this list. So my second choice is from The Dead Zone, and it's Greg Stilson. Now, when your introduction to a character is seeing them kick a dog to death for no real reason, you know you've got a bad egg on your hands, and boy, is Greg Stilson a bad egg. Now, with the help of John Smith, we see what the future under Greg Stilson might well look like, and it is not a happy place. And of course, reading this book now, when you think of a certain orange man baby in 2025 politics, well, yeah, I mean, Greg Stilson kind of looks quite reasonable, actually. But yes, scary, and perhaps a warning for what we've got now to just tread lightly, okay? And based on any previous video I've done where I've mentioned the big orange man baby, this will probably bring some MAGA nuts in the comments. Hello, no, I'm not interested in talking to you. Bye-bye. And number 3, It, and we're talking Pennywise, perhaps the scariest Stephen King villain, certainly the most iconic, I would argue. I mean, let's look at this. Pennywise knows what you are afraid of most and can take that shape and form and appearance to make sure you're super extra scared when Pennywise kills you. And Pennywise comes back every 27 years, seemingly impossible to defeat. Like, literal stuff of nightmares, and revels in making you suffer before you die, and generally takes the appearance of a sinister looking clown. Like, yeah, just scary as heck. So my 4th pick, we're going for Misery and Annie Wilkes, one of King's most iconic human monsters, and like a brilliant portrayal actually of a character with really poor mental health. This was King predicting toxic fan culture years before social media, and doing so in a really chilling way. Like, you don't want to spend time with Annie Wilkes, but she is such a compelling read, and that cat and mouse with her and Paul Sheldon, it just drives that book. But you can't relax when Annie's on page because you just don't know what's going to happen next. So next up we're going for The Dark Half and George Stark. Kind of says it all on his fake tombstone, really. Not a very nice guy. He really isn't a very nice guy. He's a very dangerous guy, actually. But also put yourself in Thad Beaumont's shoes. How do you wrap your head around the fact that your imagination generated something so powerful that has come to life and is killing people and is framing you in the process? Like, yeah, just terrifying. And the only way out is probably with your own destruction. Just a relentless Terminator-like machine who is a brilliant driving force of an underrated novel. Right, sixth choice, we're going to Rose Madder and Norm Daniels. Perhaps Stephen King's scariest human villain, if a little exaggerated at times. He is just relentless and atrocious. He's pure evil. He's an absolute beast. And just completely dangerous, completely unhinged, and a massive lunatic who is just utterly scary. So my seventh pick, I'm going for Bag of Bones and Max DeVore. Now, a frail old man in a wheelchair shouldn't have the ability to be scary, right? And yet Max DeVore is. He's scary because he's got the power, he's got the influence, he's got the connections, he's got the money to do exactly what he wants and get away with it. And he's got this dark past that you learn more about as you go through the book that does make him a truly menacing prospect. He is able to act as this puppet master and make so many bad things happen, and he doesn't care. And yeah, he becomes a really scary, frail old man in a wheelchair. At 8, we're going to Lacey Story and Jim Dooley. Perhaps a long-lost nephew of Annie Wilkes, but Jim takes toxic fandom to a different level of sadism. Again, he is unhinged, he is out of control, he is sick in the head, and frankly, he had to be in this list just for the scene with the can opener on its own. Yeah, my God, what a horrifying mess of a character. At 9, we're going Under the Dome, and we're picking a double act. Big Jim Rennie and Junior Rennie. Yeah, 2 for the price of 1. Both horrible and scary, but for different reasons. Junior Rennie is quite literally sick in the head, and that kind of makes him slightly out of control of his actions, and the dome is a shelter for that. And yeah, he just festers in that novel and becomes even more dangerous as it goes on. And then his dad, Big Jim Rennie, well, we're referencing Donald Trump again here, but he's basically a small town Donald Trump. He is a bully with power, and then the dome coming down gives him the situation where he can exert his influence to his own dastardly desires. Yeah. And lastly, for me at least, Mr. Mercedes and Brady Hartsfield. Now, it's not a spoiler to say that Brady is the guy driving the Mercedes at the start of this book. We know that from the very start of the book. We know he is the villain all the way through. And that kind of makes him even more compelling. We've got this, like, incel character who has this darkened version of himself who spends all his time in his basement doing all his weird tech stuff, and yet on the outside is kind of a functioning, quite pleasant member of society. And the fact that we get to spend so much time with him and in his messed up life and just see what he's about. Yeah, a brilliant villain. A great counterpoint to Bill Hodges, and yeah, just someone, again, that you don't really know quite how dangerous he can be until you're reading that book. But again, kind of deserves to be in here just for the Job Centre Massacre on his own. But then the way his story arc pans out, yeah, truly a scary human monster. Okay, there we go. Those are my choices for the 10 scariest Stephen King villains. Let me know what you think though. Who do you think are the scariest villains in Stephen King's works? I'd love to hear from you. And again, let me know who you would dress up as for Halloween, because that'd just be fun. Right, we've made it this far. I'm going to throw a few plugs at you. Everything I want to plug is linked in the description below, but those things are my award-winning collection of short stories, Once More Under the Sun, my range of Stephen King themed band shirts, my Stephen King trivia book, and the fact that you can become a constant viewer, become a member of this channel, support me directly, get extra content, and a bunch of other fun stuff. Details all below. And if none of that works for you, no problem. Just watching these videos is great. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and tell a friend if you are subscribed, and try and get them involved too. And that's this month's book special. Happy spooky season, happy Halloween, and I will see you again very soon.